from a fungus. This is again, everywhere you look, the perfect storm. There's components and modules arriving all the time, surrounding. It's almost like the wagons are circled, and all of these Indians are moving into position around the wagons.
At a metadata level, we're calling it coagulation.
I like that word.
And that really is what is going on, is the coagulation of all these memes into, as a friend of mine describes it, a thick, syrupy mass.
And we don't extricate ourselves from this easily at all. We go through it.
No, you have to live through it. And that's the issue, is you don't even want to try that escape route mentality. It leads nowhere.
So folks, excuse me, one thing, George. I just want to remind people again, when you're at the knees of these fear-mongering panderers and hucksters, back off, okay? Stay the hell away from it. Go ahead, please.
Oh, I was just going to say, the wheat rust is the kind of thing that, again, will cause a particular kind of an inflation, which will be very difficult for the Fed, even if they think they have the internal economy.
Can't manipulate a wheat rust. There's no wheat.
Right, exactly. And you can't manipulate millions of people hungry in China and India bidding up prices for wheat. And so at some point,
well,
we've already reached that point, George.
We're there now. It's already there.
There's within, I live in a reasonably small environment here in the Thurston County area, perhaps 200,000 people nominally. And we've got, as far as I know, at least 3 more or less permanent homeless camp areas.
All right, let me tell you something else before we hit the break here. About 10, 15 years ago, let's call it 20 to be safe, this country had a 2 to 3 year supply, as you guys know, commodity supply of corn and wheat and staples.
Yes.
You know what it is now, ladies and gentlemen?
Days.
8 days. 8 days, that's it. Okay? We'll be right back. It's been just a fascinating conversation with Clif and George, and we'll do it again here in another couple of months when they have time. All right, we have one segment left, and if you'd like, let's go ahead and develop as much as you'd care to about what you see. And again, this is an inexact masterstroke, so I don't want to pin you down to anything in particular, but let's go ahead. People want to know, what can we expect? And they're not doing it out of fear as much as they have a real intellectual drive to try, and this is an audience that cares about preparing. They'd like to know. So I'll leave it up to you guys to go ahead and lead it where you'd like, please. Clif, why don't you go ahead?
Well, as I say, my concern is biospheric degradation in the environment in general. It looks as though the plastic people, which is what future generations will probably name the current state of humanity, we're going to have really tough times. There's stuff at certain cycles that are completing astronomically that are going to really pressure us over the next few years. And we have some rather curious effects coming out, I think, from the powers that be that are also going to pressure us as individuals. Because the powers that be are between us and a hard place. We don't know exactly what the hard place is. We don't know precisely what they're afraid of, but they seem to have a single focus on it. It seems to be relatively short-term, I would say 5 years or less. And we've been wrong in our timing before, but we seem to be getting a little bit better at it. Wouldn't you agree, George?
I think so, Cliff.
And it's really a situation for us where the indications are that many parts of the environment are going to coagulate along with a lot of the other aspects of our lives into a rather trying or challenging set of circumstances for us all. We're going to have to start really being self-sufficient and taking care not only of our own mental attitude, because there are a lot of people out there attempting to do it for you. We have a little saying around here that if you're not in charge of your mind, who is? Because you really need to ask that question. If you're not actively working your intelligence for your own benefit, then you're being manipulated. If you're just going along on your daily basis.
That's called proactive, and most people, unfortunately, are trained and programmed and duped and tricked and misled into being reactive, and that's exactly what you're talking about.
And exactly, and you have to be in this very clear mindset that things are not as they are being told to us, and the mainstream media's job is to deceive us, not to inform us, and therefore anything you see at any level is filled with symbology, and there's a lot of people that make a lot of money layering in this symbology at very deep archetypal levels that we're finding all the time. And it's, the first time I encountered it many years back, I was rather shocked. It took me about 6 months to really wrap my head around what we were seeing and how deep it went. We're talking about symbology that's intended to create preset mind conditions that can be manipulated later on.
You're talking about visual images here and
all
symbols.
Over. You find it. We even are finding
sound,
examples
sights,
now
all the
showing up
senses.
Yes, everywhere. Everything in all the advertising, you have to assume that there's at least 4 or 5 layers of symbology that are put in, not subliminals, but out in the blatant, right in front of your wide open eyes kind of things that you just don't pay attention to, and they're not hidden because they don't really want to hide them too deep, and they're actually very explicit. But we're so inundated that we have a tendency to screen everything out. We think, but a lot of these things are intended to slip right through.
They go right through, and I also want to put in my 2 cents. I think you're 100% correct, but I would go further than that. And the anecdote I'm going to quote very quickly here comes from Patrick Flanagan. You know what the lily wave is. Did I mention this last time, Cliff?
I don't believe so.
All right, the lily wave is a wave form. It's a specific wave form you see on an oscilloscope or something like that. Well, Pat Flanagan's a scientist, went over to visit a friend of his in his garage laboratory, walked in, and the guy had the lily wave on his oscilloscope, or computer screen, whatever the heck it was. And Pat said, you know, what are you doing with the lily wave? It's not a very common thing. It's recognizable. It's known. And the guy said, you'll never guess where this is coming from. Pat said, where? And he pointed to the wall plug. It was in the electric grid. It didn't get there accidentally. Somebody put it in the electric grid. And that tells Pat, and it tells me, and I had a hunch about this, that the electric grid could easily be injected with and augmented with all kinds of energetic control mechanisms that could go into every house, every building, every office, down every block, through every step-down transformer, into every kind of structure you could imagine, and surround the people in there with some subtle energies that are influencing them. Okay, that's on the other end of the spectrum.
Yeah, it's not that subtle, and in fact, that goes right to the point why I live in a structure that's got a metal roof that's grounded in a serious fucking way. I mean, it just comes right down to the core of the thing.
You put some copper grid up there and grounded it?
Well, it's not a Faraday cage, but it's about as close as you can get without really getting the wife irritated.
Smart.
And
Smart.
I've got 2 layers of steel on my roof over my office, too, for pretty much the same reason.
Well, you need to treat the actual grid as it comes into your home on all of your electric wiring and wall plugs, and there are technologies to do that.
Oh, sure.
Yeah. In my particular case, we produce a lot of solar power here, and I'm in the process of converting a boat over to electric and a car over to electric because I don't see that it really makes much sense to continue to fight the whole oil curve.
Well, they as you both know, more than one scientist has discovered how to propel automobiles with water. I mean, they can do it. They can crack the hydrogen and make it usable immediately. Stanley Meyer, the scientist, did it. Pentagon visited him. He was dead within a week, etc. And there was another story I just ran the other day. A guy in Florida is doing it in a car down there. Okay, George, you go ahead now, please.
All I was going to say is ask Cliff about the death of paper assets and also the emergence of new land.
Okay, go ahead. Good. We have 5 minutes.
Yeah, we've had in our data we've had for a number of years, I believe it was 2003 or something along there, the idea that the undersea floor shape would change such that a large mass of land would pop on up. Kind of for a minute gave us the idea of, we can go on off and homestead, claim for ourselves. It appears that it'll be in the Pacific, but there's also some indication around 90 east, wasn't it, George, in the sub-Indian Ocean?
Right.
How big of a chunk? Catalina Island or bigger?
Oh, no. Gradually, initially, it may be only something the size of, say, New Zealand, but gradually, very much larger.
Over a period of...
This does not bode well for the rest of us, because that water's got to go somewhere.
Got to go somewhere. Over a period of...
We don't know. It's rather shocking how fast such transformations can take place. We just don't know. There's some things going on the planet in terms of the bulge around the equator appearing and disappearing. We've got magnetic influences that are changing, the salinity of the oceans, a lot of things, and also the current earthquakes. The swarms off of California, the swarms off of Oregon, and now the little mini swarm in the middle of the country. That is probably as a result, or could be, as a result of magma movement, which occurs as a result of the glaciers melting. Because what a lot of people don't understand is as that mass shifts, the planet kind of like exercises itself a little bit and shifts the rest of the tectonic plates to accommodate.
Well, they also don't understand... Right, they don't understand the pressure of water as it moves around on the magma underneath, on that thin crust which rides on the magma. So, yeah, this is a very volatile planet. Even if it were 1,000 years, that's nothing in geological time.
Right, but unfortunately, if you look at some of the historical evidence, we find that the way that scientists have a tendency to present it to us is to calm and control. And so, for instance, we know that there was a release of the Laurentian ice sheet. We know that it occurred, and we can look at that occurrence in terms of the historical evidence and ice cores and say, yeah, it occurred within this 100-year period of time. However, if you actually start investigating, you find that, 90% of that motion occurred within 10 years. And if you really look at those 10 years, 90% occurred within 1 year. And if you look at the 1 year, 90% occurred within 6 weeks, and so on.
Okay, I get it.
It does go down to a single event within a human realizable term.
Well, the Earth's magnetic...
we're living it now.
The Earth's magnetic pole is down to 10% of what it was 4,000 years. It's shifting. It's reversing, as it were. And so anything can happen. These are anything but boring times. That's for damn sure. All right, we got 2 minutes left. Anything you'd like to leave us with, George, this time around?
Think about how you're going to cope with the world where traditional paper assets may lose their social contract basis.
Talk to me about paper assets. Define them.
Paper assets is anything, a piece of paper that represents stored future value. And I don't care if it's a certificate saying you own gold in a vault someplace. I don't care if it's a share of stock or a statement from a 401 or cash money printed up that says Federal Reserve note on it.
Got it.
You have to ask yourself over the next 5-10 years, if we see the kinds of things that are popping up linguistically, what is your plan B to get along without paper?
All right, very good. Okay, final word, Clif, from you.
Plant a garden.
Oh, yeah.
Seriously, I had to go to the trouble of doing a grow dome because of where I live. The dome being the most efficient way to cover the maximum amount of space with the minimum amount
a Bucky dome?
Correct. It was relatively simple to engineer with the tools that are on the Internet. Bashed it out myself, covered it up with some good plastic, and now I've got plants growing, and it's snowing, and it's going to snow maybe into June for all we know, with the jet stream shifted up, and our indications that there's going to be massive weather changes north of 40 latitude.
Where is 40?
And I'm at 47.
You're at 47. Where's 40?
Down Portland area.
Okay. Makes sense. You guys are great. I've really enjoyed this. I think our listeners have been just mesmerized by it, and I hope they visit your websites. I'm sure they will. Would you come back in another couple of months?
Certainly. Sure. No question.
Okay. Thank you, Clif, and thank you, George, very much.
Our pleasure.
Yep. Anytime. Thank you, sir.
Okay. Good night.
Good night.
Thanks also to all of you folks for spending your time with us. It's been a great ride. Fascinating material. Real material. Have a great weekend. Take good care.